Okay, guys, welcome. Today's question is, how do I create these icons that will allow me to switch my sound devices, the default sound device, without having to go to the sound control playback devices and then clicking, right-clicking and clicking set as default device to make it switch. Um, Now here's you can kind of see here, it might blink my sound out, but you'll see that when I click on these, it'll actually change the check mark. You'll see the default device will change from there to speakers. So we'll change it and change it back. Okay, now hopefully my sound is back up and running. And it makes it a lot simpler than having to dig through the sound properties. Now, how do we do this? Well, we do this with batch files, and we do this with a program called NRI command. And you can go to a website called nirsoft.net/utils/nircommand.html. You see it at the top there. And they give you all kinds of things that you can do with this program. But if you scroll all the way to the bottom, they have two different versions down here. We have a regular download for like the 32-bit version, and then they have a 64-bit version. Now I'm using the 64-bit version. Okay, now I don't know everything that this program does. I just use it for this at the moment, so you can dig through all of this and experiment on your own with some of the other things that it does. That's entirely up to you, but I only use it for one thing. Okay, so now once you download this program, and we'll just do this real quick to show you, you get it down as a zip file. Okay, now hopefully you know how to extract zip files and all that. Once you get your zip file, what you want to do, what I did, is I went into my users account. So I went to my C drive, and then I went to users, and I went to my name, Gary, and then I created a folder that I call Gary's Custom Tools. Okay, now under this folder I have one that I called Sound. This is the one that I'm going to use the NRI command for. So in this folder, you can disregard the folder that says audio. Extract the files that you got with the NRI command zip file into here. Okay, now in your case, it's going to be your username and then whatever you want to name your folder. It can be anything you want. Okay, then you'll end up with these three files right here. Okay, now you need to create your batch files to work with that. Okay, this is just the program that you're going to be calling, and you want to be able to use the features of it. So what we're going to do is, first thing we're going to do is right-click, go to New, create a text document. Not a rich text document, just a regular text document. And here it'll give you the opportunity to change the name of it. Okay, so in this case, let's call this my recording setup. Okay, and you can have spaces in here, doesn't matter. And then we'll change this back part from TXT to BAT. And then just click away. Now it'll tell you if you change the file name extension, it might become unusable. Well, we know what we're changing it to, so are we sure we want to change it? Yes. So now I have a new batch file for my recording setup. Okay, now I have a batch file here for my Logitech headset, and I have a batch file here for my speakers. And if you look down at the bottom, if I hover over, it says speakers, and it says Logitech headset. And then my last one is my clear printer spooler. Right-click it and click Edit, and this will bring it up in your notepad for you to edit. Okay, so I'm going to edit my recording setup, and I'm also going to bring up my Logitech headset by right-clicking and clicking Edit. By double-clicking it, you're running the batch file. Okay, now you can see how this works, and we'll run through it. Let's say, for instance, that if I go into my devices here, I want to make my recording setup, for when I record music, okay? So I want my headphones, in this case we'll say my Logitech headset. I want it to revert to my Logitech headset, and then under recording, I want it to be my Logitech headset mic, the one that I'm using at the moment. So let's see how we can do this. Okay, I'll put it over here for reference. The first one I want to do is my Logitech headset. Okay, so in a batch file, the very first thing you want to type is the @ symbol, echo off, all in capital letters. Okay, so then we need a command where we're going to call the NIR command program. So what we'll do is we go to the folder where the NIR command exe exists. So whatever folder you created under your users for your sound setup, that's where you want to be. Make sure that shows. Okay? Then you just go up here to the top and you click on it, and it'll show you the path to that file. So then you can just Control C to copy, and then you just go over here to your batch file, Control V to paste, and you'll see you have your whole address all the way up to the NRI command. Okay, so then you still need a slash. You need nircmd.exe. Now we want to pass a command to that program. Okay, these are inline commands that you can use to actually tell the program what you want it to do, rather than just running the program and have the interface come up and then you have to choose what you want to do from there. And in this case, for this particular program, they have it set up so that the first command we have is to set default sound device, and then a space, and then quotation marks, which will have the name of your the actual device that you want, and then a 2. Now the first one has a 2. Make sure you have a space there, and then you need another one. So we highlight this, copy, paste. Okay, and in this case we're going to do a speaker and we're going to do headphones. Okay, so we'll just do 4 of them. Okay, now the first 2 will make the number 2, the next 2 will make the number 1. Okay, now you could do it this way. I'll show you both ways you can do it here. We'll just copy this, paste it. The other way you can do it is by doing 2 1 2 1. Okay, now in quotation marks here is where we need to have the name of our devices. So we bring up our playback devices, and this is extremely important that whatever you put in here for this name has to be exactly this name on the first line. So in this case it's Logitech headset. It's the part that's blackened. In this case it would be the NS32E, whatever that is, or your speakers or whatever. So for this one we'll start out with our speaker setup, our playback setup, and we'll make this Logitech headset. Make sure you have the capitalization correct, make sure that you have the spaces correct, and make sure there's no spaces before or after inside the quotation marks. Okay, now we want to do our, we have one for our number 2. We also have to do this for our number 1. Now just to show you the difference here between the 2 ways, you see here I have both my headsets together, and then I'll have both of my microphones together. Up here I have my headset number 2 together with my microphone number 2, and my headset number 1 together with my microphone number 1. You can do it either way you want, but you do have to have a 2 and a 1. I don't know why. You can look that up on the website if you wish. But then we'll go to recording devices, and we'll see we have a Logitech headset mic. And again, we have to make this exact. So you'll notice that this time Logitech is not capitalized. Space headset, space capital M-I-C. No spaces before, no spaces after. Just make sure you have the spaces correct and all your capitalization correct. So we'll copy that and we'll paste that here, here, and here. Okay, so now you need to set it up either one of these ways, not both ways like I did. I just did this to show you. But basically you need, you need the sound devices for anything that you want default. You can even separate them with a space if it makes it easier for you to figure out. So now you can see how here I have my headset and my microphone for number 2, my headset and my microphone for number 1. These need to be the same. And here I have my headsets, both of my headsets, 1 and 2, and both of my mics, 1 and 2. So either way, whichever way is easier for you to understand, you can do. So I'm just going to get rid of this one now. And then I'm going to save my file. Now this is kind of difficult to show because if I would change anything, you're not going to hear me. And you're not going to, So I'm going to attempt this. Hopefully it doesn't screw up my recording. But I'm going to make this one my default. And then I'm going to double click on my recording setup and hopefully it should drop it back. So I'll change both of them. I'll change the recording device. I'm going to change to microphone. And playback device I'm going to change to speakers. And then when you see me click this, it ought to drop back on and you ought to hear me again. So let's try this out. Make this default. Okay, now hopefully you hear me again. You see how I changed the defaults down to my microphone and I changed the default down to my speakers, and when I double clicked it, it popped it right back to where I need it for my recording. So that's it for the batch files. Now you can make as many batch files as you want for different sound setups. You can, change these however you need to for your speakers and your microphones. As far as I know, you can only have one default for microphone, one default for speaker, so forth. But once you have your batch file set up, now you want to turn it into an icon. So now that we see that, we're back in our folder. We have our batch files. They're all set up. And they all work. Now what I did was I went back to my custom tools folder. And you can see I have sound and I have printer because I also have a spool cleaner for my printer. And this is just the batch files too, where I went in here and I did all the information that I needed it to do, all the commands I needed it to do, and it can run those for me. And that's for if, I have an issue sometimes where I'll print something and then it doesn't print out correctly because it's on a network. And then it'll stick in there and I can't delete it no matter how hard I try. So rather than going through all the manual things of going through and cleaning the spooler out, I just have a one-click item, little printer down here that I can click and clean the spooler out for me. And I just did that with a batch file. Now in that case, I didn't need the NRI command program. I could just do that with the programs that are already on Windows. So nonetheless, once I have those set up, now I want to create the shortcut that I'm going to use for this. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to right click on this and drag it down onto the document here and let go, and then I'm going to click create shortcut here. So now I have a shortcut. Now what I do is I take this shortcut and I want to go to my customs folder here, my tools folder. I'm just going to open this in a new window to make this easier. Okay, so I created I have my sound folder that has all my information in it, and I created a new folder called Tools. Now in Tools, I have shortcuts for my speakers, my Logitech headset, and my clear printer spooler. Those are the three items that you see down here. And you see they have their own icons and everything. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the shortcut that I created, and I'm going to drag this over to my Tools folder, and I'm going to copy it there or move it there, whichever way you want. Okay, now I can right click on this and I click Properties. Now the first thing you'll notice is as soon as I moved it into this folder, it showed up down here. And the reason is, if you right click down on your taskbar, you go to Toolbars, you go to New Toolbar, and then you can navigate around wherever you want. Let's say just for example here, I'm just going to show you, we'll go to my printer folder, we'll make the printer folder, which has a folder and a file in it. We'll select the printer folder. For our example here, you want to select the Tools folder, and that'll bring this up. But for my example, I'm going to show you the printer folder, and I'm going to select that, and you'll see how it shows printer down here. Now if I right click and unlock the taskbar, I can drag this out and make it big so you can see what's in here. And what's in here is the name of the folder and the items in the folder. Doesn't matter how many items there are, you can use this for all kinds of things. Your desktop, whatever, that you can add the folder here. Now if you make it too small, it just gives you the little double arrows and you can see the stuff pop up here. But in our case, you know, we want to show you how to do this because these are just icons. They don't have all this stuff. So if you right click on where it says printer, or in our case it would have been tools or whatever you named the file, and you go up to show text and uncheck that, it takes the text away for the names of the file and the folder. However, if you hover over them, it will tell you what it is. So it tells you here reset and clear spooler Q bat and clear spooler print spooler. Okay. Now you also want to get rid of the printer thing here, so you right click and click show title, uncheck that, and now you just have the icons just like we have here. And that's how it's set up. You can see this icon looks exactly like this one. Okay. Now I want to get rid of this. I don't want this on, so I just go to my toolbars and get rid of the printer one. And now all I have is these for my tools. Okay, but now this icon looks really gay. It's just a generic batch file icon. And obviously if I hover over it, it's got this long my recording setup bat/shortcut title. So we right click on this and click Properties. And under the General tab, here's where we can name it. So in this case, we're going to just name this My Recording Setup. And before we hit OK, we go to Options. I'm sorry, Shortcut, not Options. We go to Shortcut and go to Change Icon. And it's just telling me I don't have an icon in my file, which is fine. And now you can pick from any of these icons that are default icons for Windows, or you can do what I did, and you can download and put them in a folder somewhere. In my case, I put it in my user folder again, and called it Gary's Icons, and I downloaded ICO files. Make sure they're ICO files, not PNG, not bitmaps or GIFs. You can see down here the icon files only are ICO, ICL, or if you have a DLL file or an exe file that contains them, you can do that. And if you look them up on Google, a lot of times they'll show you the icon, but the picture that they actually have on the Google image thing is a GIF. So then you have to go and actually go to the site to be able to download the ICO. Make sure it's a free ICO unless you want to pay for it. But once you get the ICO, you can download the ICO, and then it'll give you the icons, and then you can just pick whatever icon you want. We'll pick headphones here, okay? Once you pick the headphones, you click OK. And then you can click OK again. And you'll see that my icon changed to a headphone. And when I hover over it, it just says My Recording Setup. This one just says Speakers. This one just says Logitech Headset. And this one just says Clear Printer Spooler. So those are the names, and they'll all work. And then with this here, you can change this folder to contain anything you want, any other batch file shortcuts or shortcuts to other programs, or however you want to set it up for yourself. But that's how you create a toolbar, and with the icons on it so that you can use it for your sound. So in my case, I don't want that particular one anymore, so I'm just going to delete that. And I can delete my batch file over here. But now the audio folder I have up here, that's just I have copies of my shortcuts in there just for when I was testing it and stuff. So you don't have to worry about the audio folder at all. You'll just have the whatever batch files you create and then the 3 files that you got with NIR command. Okay. So that's how I got it to work. I hope that helps you. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. You can also go to, there is a video. This kid talks pretty fast, but there is a video on YouTube also, besides mine, where he describes how to do this. And there is a website, if I still have it up here. I do not. There was a website also that can show you how to. Here we go. MicrosoftNow.com has this description of everything. You can see here again, he has his batch file named for whatever the deed that he wants to get done, and then they have the address to the NIR command file. Now he uses the NRI command C command. I use the exe command. You can use it either way. And then set your default sound device and then the name of the device. And you see how he has them set up here too. And then they explain it. They just tell you to take it to your C drive and drop it on your C drive, and call your command from there. So he just has a folder called NRI command in C drive, and then he has it there. It makes that shorter for you here. However, if you ever back up your files and you back up your user file and you want this for later on, if something happens to your computer and you have to reboot or whatever, or redo your computer, you can use the backup files and you'll still have this stuff all set up. You just have to create the toolbar, which is why I did it the way I did it. If you put it on the C drive, it'll get wiped out with Windows. So, just by putting it directly on the C drive. Plus, it makes things a little more confusing in your file system too. It's nicer to have your files together with your things. If you have another username on there that you want to do it for, do their own. You know what I mean? It's not a large file. It's easy to do and easy to keep in a folder. So I hope that helped you. If you have any questions or comments, let me know.